Hey solos! So you're at Walt Disney World all by yourself, and maybe there's something that's just like a little bit wrong. Like your room's on the ground floor and you'd prefer it's not on the ground floor, or your food is a little cold, or maybe the ride broke down and you didn't really get to experience all of the different things. Like, what should you do when you were there by yourself? And there's just a few things that are just like a little bit wrong. Solo spoiler, just ask. Just ask. Like, literally, you don't have to listen to the rest of the episode. If you understood what that meant, then feel free not to keep listening. But the best tip that I can give anybody, especially going to Disney, if there is something that's like a little bit off, just ask a cast member, and generally they can do a lot of things to make sure you have the best time ever. And knowing this is a resource when you are going solo makes the solo trip to Disney all the better. Hi everyone, it's Samantha. Olaf may not know who Samantha is, but now you do, and welcome to Disney Solo Magic, the #1 podcast for solo travel to Disney World, now in its second year. In this episode, I am just going to talk about all the ways that you can just ask for things that will make your trip better. This isn't really asking for any extras. It's really just encouraging you to ask for things if you need them, or if there's slight tweaks to make your trip better, because the cast members are there to support you. And I think that when you are traveling solo, to know that there is like a whole network of people in this giant place that can support you having the best vacation ever, I think that that is an extra good resource, an extra good tip when you are traveling by yourself. And you're not going to get that necessarily if you are traveling to other places by yourself. So anyway, that is the title of the episode. It is the thesis of the episode, and it is going to be the refrain of the entire episode. So again, you don't need to listen then if you already understood that advice, but please mark it as played, because that is still really useful. So you know that you can follow me on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Threads, but you can also follow me on Patreon. And I, again, am really hoping that we can build a really awesome community there. And there are 3 different tiers. It's $3 $3 Canadian, $5 Canadian, $10 Canadian, which is about $2 American, $3 American, gosh, that's nothing, and $7 American. It is the popcorn tier, Mickey bar tier, and the Dole Whip tier. And one of the things that's really great for the Mickey bar tier and the Dole Whip tier is that you'll be able to watch videos of the solo stories. And I have one coming up next week, and I actually just recorded another one. They're really fun to be able to watch. But also, if you are on the part of the Dole Whip tier, you get little addendums, a little story of the episode that I share. So there'll be a little story of the episode to share on this one, so you can check that out. You can also listen to this on Apple, on Spotify, and on YouTube. It would be really awesome if you could please rate, review, subscribe, and share with others. That is such an invaluable way to support the podcast. It would be really great if you gave this 5 stars. I think in America, actually, there are a couple 1-star ratings, which is sad. Like, just don't listen. But if you have some feedback, that's also really great. So to counter those 1-star, having some 5-star ratings would be really awesome. And again, thank you so much for listening. Let's get right on into it. All right. So this is a tip. I mean, I do this a lot in my daily life, the just ask principle, that I don't even think about too often. I just am like, oh, no, if something else is needed, I'll just ask for it. I never really, it's not a mind-blowing strategy, but I was at Disney once. I was in line for the Little Mermaid ride, and I just started making conversation with this family, and they mentioned a dinner that they had the night before, and I was like, ooh, did you love that restaurant? And the woman's like, yeah, I mean, it was kind of nice, but I didn't really love the food. My food was cold. And I said, oh, well, did you tell your waitress? And they could have got you a different dinner. And she's like, oh, no, I didn't tell anybody. And I was like, well, why not? Just ask. You're at Disney. Just ask. Just tell them there's a problem. And she was like, what? I would never do that. I'm like, okay, well, maybe you wouldn't do that at your local diner, but at Disney, just ask. And it was a mind-blowing thing for her. And I get it. I get not wanting to seem like the squeaky wheel and all that stuff. But the reason why I really wanted to make this a whole episode is because Disney is a really special place for you to practice just asking and for asking for things that you want. So I really want to foreground that before I get into the content of the episode. So Disney is a giant corporation. Spoiler alert. Giant corporation. It's giant. It's huge. It makes a ton of money. A ton of money. It makes a ton of money every single day. Just like look at all the people on a Disney bus with you and just imagine all these people are paying for a hotel, they're paying for merchandise, they're paying for park tickets. Like Disney makes a ton of money. So do not feel bad ever for asking for anything that you think is like bigger than you deserve. No, because they make a ton of money. I keep saying this because they don't lose any money by doing these strategies that I am suggesting. And I want to be very clear, these strategies are not to get anything extra. They are to get what you have already paid for. And again, when you are at your local diner, that is really hard to do. I mean, I understand why it would be awkward to do because like literally the profits of your particular meal or whatever is, going to be offset if you have to send a meal back. But at Disney, no. Don't worry, they make a ton of profit. So again, you are in a system already that is making a ton of money that you should never feel bad about getting for what you pay for, what you have already paid for. And that's really, really the key thing. I'm not going to be talking about getting any extras. I'm not talking about getting pixie dusted. I'm not talking about getting more than what you paid for. There are other places I'm sure you can get those strategies, but I mean, that's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about getting what you have already paid for, and that is really important. And I think too, when you're going solo, you might feel even more awkward to do that. You don't want to like stand out, or you don't want to make yourself known, or it's just you. Like if it was your kid that had a problem, like maybe you would say something, but it's just you and you could no, just ask for what you want. Just ask for what you need if there is an issue. So I'm going to talk about this in 3 different categories. I'm going to talk about this related to hotels, food, and rides. But before I talk about that, the other thing I really want to emphasize is not only that Disney makes a ton of money and a ton of profit, so keep that in mind, but the other thing is that Disney really wants you to have an amazing time. That the whole goal of, well, maybe the whole goal is to make money for Disney, but let's just put that part aside. The other whole goal of the Walt Disney World experience is for people, is for guests like you to have an amazing time. And cast members know this. Cast members know that the guest experience is one of the most number one priorities that they have. So keep that in mind. Disney makes profit. Disney wants you to have a really good time. And also, the cast members know both of these things. The cast members that you are dealing with aren't dealing with any sort of like issues related to budget and related to sales and things like that. So when you are interfacing with a cast member and there is an issue, a tiny issue, like a small issue that might not even be an issue, their goal is to make you happy. And that doesn't mean taking advantage of this. It means using the supports that are available. So another way to think of this is that know that the cast members are like part of your team. They are part of your team to have an excellent experience at Walt Disney World. But they can't help you. They can't be a team member unless you let them know if there is an issue, even if it's not really an issue. So let's just get right on into it, and we'll talk about hotels first. Now, on this podcast, I have talked about how much I love hotels. I love hotels. I just love hotels. And I do have some preferences related to hotel rooms, and they are personal preferences. I don't like to be on a ground floor, especially as a woman traveling alone. To me, there's just like more safety if you are not on the ground floor. But you might like being on the ground floor, even if you're a woman traveling alone, a woman or a femme person traveling alone, because of accessibility or because you don't want to do stairs, whatever. Doesn't matter. Do you, bibbidi bobbidi boo. But I don't like to be on the ground floor. I also do not want to see a parking lot from my hotel room. Now, I stay at value and moderate resorts. That means there are no balconies, but I can still see outside through the window. And sometimes I'll prop the door open with a chair or whatever and just kind of look at the trees or whatever. And so I don't want to look at a parking lot. That to me takes me out of the bubble. I also like a quiet room. So I don't want to be close to a stairwell or things like that. I just as quiet as possible. And by and large, every time I've gone to Disney, I have gotten all of those things in the room that I wanted. I'm not on the ground floor. I don't really face a parking lot. And by and large, my rooms have been in really quiet locations. And do you know how I got that? ... I just asked for it. I just asked for it. Now, here's the thing. I am not asking for a room upgrade. And most of the time I book just a standard room. So if you are booking a standard room, there's, let's just say 100, 1,000 standard rooms. There's a lot more than that, but let's just pretend. So there's 1,000 standard rooms, but some standard rooms face a parking lot. Some standard rooms face a tree. Some standard rooms are on the ground floor. Some standard rooms are on the fourth floor. So when I go up to a cast member, when I am checking into the hotel and I say, hey, I just want to know if there is a room that doesn't face a parking lot, then they can take a look at the available rooms, the standard rooms in the price category I have already bought to see if they are able to accommodate my request. And you know what? They can. They do all the time. It's no problem with them. If you are asking for these things and it's like a mom and pop bed and breakfast, although I guess people don't really go to those anymore, but if you are asking for these things and it's a really small family owned type of establishment, that might actually be a huge request for them because I don't know, whatever, something related to their sales and their profits and their reservations. But at Disney, there's so many options. It is still 1,000 rooms they can choose from. And sometimes it's difficult, sometimes it's easy. But it's never a problem. So what I do is I check in online. When I check in online, I can indicate if I want a ground floor or not. That is something that you can indicate when you're checking in. But then I go up to the cast member and I'm like, hey, and sometimes I'll say my room's not available yet. That's totally fine. I just wanted to know if I cannot face a parking lot. Now, sometimes the cast members have been really great and they pull out a map and we look at the available rooms together. We look at the available rooms together and then I can choose from two options, which is really awesome. Also not needed. Sometimes they'll be well, this says it's a woods view. So I don't, does this work? And I'm I'm sure it will work. And sometimes the hotels are really busy and so you don't want to push your luck. But when it's not busy, it's not even pushing your luck. It's just asking for what you want because that individual that you are asking, it literally makes no difference to them. Whereas at a mom and pop hotel or motel or bed and breakfast, there could be issues. The cast member does not care. I just really need you to know this. If you are asking for something, that cast member does not care. It's not like you are saying, oh, hey, that room has pictures of your children and your children are ugly and I don't want to be in there. And that hurt their feelings. No, they don't care because their goal is to make you happy. And so if they can accommodate your request and the request to have a non-parking lot view, not on the ground floor, in a quiet area is not a difficult request. If they are able to accommodate your request, they will. And like I said, every single time I go to Disney, this has been the case. I have been able to get a room that I want. And Even though I am not asking for an upgrade, and I really, really want to emphasize that, even though I am not asking for an upgrade, in a couple of situations, I have been upgraded. And it's not even like the cast members like, oh, hey, I upgraded you. No, no, no. It's just like I just show up to the room and I realize from the location that like, oh, this is a preferred room. They put me in a preferred location rather than a standard location, which is lovely. Thank you so much. But that is not what I'm asking for. So in this principle of like, just ask, I'm not saying go up and demand an upgrade. No, 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 no. Just go and remember there's like 1,000 a million standard rooms in the category that you have paid for or whatever category that you have paid for. And you were just asking for customizations in that particular category. You're not asking for anything more or different, and that's completely fine. And also, like, be open and be flexible. So when I checked into Pop Century last time, I said the same thing. Hi, I just want to know if there was a room that wasn't on the ground floor and that didn't face a parking lot. And so when I was working with the cast member, she said, oh, it says here that when you checked in online, it said you prefer the 1950s section. I have a room for you. I could, set you up for, but it's not in the 1950s section. So what would you prefer? And so like she gave me an option and I moved to a different section, not a problem. And in that case, I actually did get a preferred room. The Pop Century experience last time, it actually, everything was fine, but like long story short, they had booked me in like 3 different rooms and I didn't even get into my room until 4 p.m., which was so bizarre and so like, anyway, there was just a fluke. It wasn't a big deal, but you just stay friendly, you stay positive, you stay thankful, you work with gratitude and positivity with the cast members, and it works out totally fine. And maybe I'll tell the story I'll tell the story on Patreon. It's not even that exciting of a story, but it's just an example of the cast members kept trying to meet my requests, and then there was just some other things that didn't work. But I got a preferred room rather than a standard room. Not what I was asking for, but it was a really great, non-upgrade. One time I was at the Coronado. I do feel like I've told this story before, and I did the same thing that I always did. Hi, I did a room that doesn't face the parking lot. And the cast member starts giving me a lecture about room upgrades, and I can't just ask for a room upgrade. And I was like, yeah, no, I know how hotel rooms work. That's not what I'm asking for. And it actually was interesting because a more senior cast member overheard our conversation and came and intercepted, because at that point I actually was getting a little angry. I got a little tone to my voice that indicated some dissatisfaction, and he came and he understood what I was asking for as well, and he actually did upgrade me. It was a beautiful, he gave me such a beautiful location. I actually did a cast compliment because I know it was a direct response to the fact that this other cast member, because then she started bad mouthing other guests. It was kind of funny. So just ask. Hey, it's Samantha from the future, from the past, from the editing bay. I just wanted to point out that parking lot views might not be your thing. You might actually want to be close to a parking lot if you're driving, for example. So you can also ask if you could be closer to a parking lot if you are driving, or you can also ask to see if you can be closer to a bus stop. All of those things you can ask for as well. Now, again, I'm listening to the episode and I talk about hating parking lots quite a bit because that is the number one thing that I'm thinking of when I'm checking into a room. But you can have your own preferences that I don't even think about. Again, you do you, bibbidi bobbidi boo, and you can ask for that as well. So if you are driving, maybe you want to be close to your car, all of that stuff, just ask. All right, let's go back. So just a reminder, you're not asking for an upgrade, you're just asking for a better fit in your category. Now, here's some other hotel tips. Other than this last Pop Century experience, which was a weird fluke, it was just a weird fluke. It was just a weird fluke. I have never gotten into my room, check-in time is 3 p.m., I have never gotten into my room as late as 3 p.m. I've gotten to the hotel at like 10, 11 in the morning and can get into the room right away. That was actually one of the things that happened at Pop Century. They were trying to get me into a room that was ready right away, and whatever, there was just a little bit of confusion. So oftentimes what they can do, if you arrive at the hotel, whatever time in the morning, and you say, hey, I just want to know if there is a room that was available now, they will be able to look to see if there is a room available now. Like at other hotels, when they have particular check-in and check-out times, they have to be as strict as possible with that because of like maintenance and housekeeping and all that stuff. That's totally fine. But at Disney, there is constantly people coming in and out of those hotel rooms. Housekeeping is working all the time. So it's not just like, oh, no, you have to wait until 3 p.m. because that's when the rooms are going to be ready. No, some people checked out at like 2 in the morning. And so they were able to turn the room over. And yeah, there is a brand new room available at 10 a.m. There's also so many times I've been at these hotels and I can see that there is like all of these rooms available that aren't booked in yet. Now, there's definitely times I've been at Disney where it's clear that every room is full, and hey, that's fine. You don't push your luck, but just ask. Just ask if you can get checked into your room earlier. Also, if your room isn't ready yet, what do you do with your luggage? Just ask. Just ask a cast member and they will direct you to Bell Services. Bell Services will store your luggage all day. They do not care when you're checking in. They do not care when you're checking out. They're not asking for that information. Their job is to safely store your luggage. And so if your room isn't ready yet, no problem. Just go and store your luggage. If you check out of your hotel room at 9 a.m. and you need to store your luggage for the day, then you go to Bell Services and just ask and they'll store your luggage. If you need people to take your luggage to your room or to pick your luggage up at the end of your trip, just ask. All these services are available. If you are switching hotels midway through your trip, you can go to Bell Services and ask for the service that will transport your luggage to the other hotel. Just ask. Remember, Disney is the size of San Francisco. It is twice the size of Manhattan. It is a whole city. So if you are worried about something that you are doing within that city, even if it's not that particular location that you're asked, just ask a cast member for help about that particular thing. Like, okay, well, I'm staying at All Star Sports, but I need to get to Grand Floridian for my breakfast reservation. Like, how do I do that? What do I do? Just ask. These cast members are there to ensure that you have a really great time. And if you are asking them for things that you need, like directions, like luggage storage, like a ground floor room, like a room that doesn't face a parking lot, if you ask, they can try to accommodate you. Now, don't be grumpy, don't be entitled, don't be rude, be positive, be full of gratitude, and just ask. And here's the thing too, so my former partner, he does not like the just ask strategy, although it has benefited him, I just should say, like many, many, many times in his life. But he never liked the just ask strategy. And so we, like when we did Disney, but also some other trips or whatever we went on, we would get to the hotel room, we would go straight to the room, and we'd be facing the parking lot, or there'd be something, or there'd be like we were facing a stairwell or whatever. Like one time we went and we were staying at Coronado actually, and we were put in a room that was facing a stairwell. It didn't get any natural light because of the way it was facing the stairwell, but also the emergency light was like the main thing shining into the room. Also, it was facing a pool. It was facing one of the quiet pools, and this quiet pool was not very quiet at all. There were a ton of like cheerleaders and whatever, like having a wonderful time, and that is really great for them. I'm very, very happy for them. But I get to the room and I'm like, no, I do not like this location at all. And I'm like, I'm just going to go ask to change rooms. He did not like that, but you want to know something, Solos? We got a great room. We got a great room. We got a great room on a second floor facing like a little forest. We did see the street because the hotel was very busy, but they still were able to get me the a room that had the least amount of parking views as possible. And they also booked us in a room that was as far away from the group bookings as possible. And like I got to the room, the first room, and I was like, no, I don't want to stay here. No, I'm not going to stay here. So I just walked back and I was like, hey, this is blah, 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 blah. And we hadn't done anything in the room yet. So they could still it wasn't extra room for the housekeeping, extra work for the housekeeping staff. And so they moved us and yeah, whatever, he grumbled or whatever. But I was so happy because now I had a room that I was happy to go back to. So look, you're not being difficult if you ask for these things. You're taking care of yourself. And at Disney, it really makes no difference to them. It really makes no difference to them. Again, if you're at an independent hotel, maybe that's different, but there are so many rooms. There are so many rooms at Disney that it really is fine if you ask them. The cast members want to make sure that you're happy. Okay, let's talk about food. If there's a problem with your food, just ask. Oh, sorry. One more thing about hotels. I actually saw a reel this past weekend that said, hey, do you know that you can get a fan for your hotel room at Disney if you're too hot? Oh, okay. So yeah, that's the other thing. There is a lot of stuff the housekeeping has that can help you. Just ask. I mean, I can't even think of examples, but just ask. If there's an issue, just ask. I've walked into hotel rooms and there've been leaks from the refrigerator. I call housekeeping, I call maintenance, and they come and they take care of it. Just ask. The other thing is, I think I told the story before, but when I was staying at the cabins at Fort Wilderness, I couldn't open the second door. And I was like, gosh, it seems like such a small thing. I shouldn't call anybody for this or whatever. And then I just thought, no, I'm just going to ask. I'm just going to ask to see if there's anything they can do to ensure this door can open, because I liked to sleep with the door open, a bit. Although a frog came in and it was very traumatic. Anyway, that's a different story. So I called maintenance and the maintenance guy came with all his tools and all this stuff. And he's like, this door? And then he just used his shoulder and he opened it. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you had to come all this way. And he's like, no, it's fine. Again, they are there to take care of guests. So yeah. All right, let's go over to food. All right. Look, if there's a problem with your food, if you have questions about the menu, just ask. I cannot stress this enough, especially with the restaurants, especially with sit-down restaurants. Quick service, the same thing with quick service, but I guess your expectations for quick service restaurant are lower as well. If you have allergies, preferences, substitutions, just ask if you can do them. Just ask. Just ask. If you have allergies, they're very, very, they're very, very careful about allergies. But then, so obviously, and a chef will come out and talk to you if you have really severe allergies and you really want to go over certain things. Also, the chef will make you a completely new meal if you have allergies that are such that you can't eat a lot of things. They will create a new meal for you. So again, just ask. On buffets, I have an allergy to pineapple, so I let them know that. And all the time, the servers will go back to the kitchen. They will talk to the chefs. They will identify which, if there's a glaze on something that they might not identify in the, ingredients that there's pineapple in it, they will identify it for me. And so again, just ask. If you have a preference or a substitution, gluten-free or dairy-free or something like that, just ask. And if they can accommodate that, they will. If there's something wrong with your food, and I cannot stress this enough, Solos, because you're paying a lot of money for that food, just ask. Now, look, if you are at I don't know, like Lucy May's cafe in your small town. If you send a dish back and ask for a new dish, then yeah, they are going to lose money on that dish. So, okay, it's a little cold. I'll just eat it. I don't know, whatever. At Disney, no. 100% no. And again, the individual restaurant and the individual cast member are not worried about the profits of that particular restaurant. They really want to make you happy. So, for example, at Topolino's Terrace, the first time I went, I ordered the steak and eggs, which is a part of their prix-fixe menu and like for breakfast. And it's obviously the most high value item on the menu. And I bit into the steak and it was the saltiest steak I have ever tasted in my life. It was so disgusting. So I started just kind of pushing it around the plate, and then the cast member came over and said, "Are you doing okay?" Like they could tell I wasn't enjoying it. And I said, "I find it really salty." And they're like, "No problem." So they take it back and they bring me a whole other one. Then I looked down at my food and there was a hair in it. Now look, I actually, in hindsight, think it was my hair. In hindsight, I do think it was my hair, but I didn't know that at the time. And I was like, oh, I can't eat this. And they were horrified. And they brought me a third steak and eggs. And I was really embarrassed because that is being very, very wasteful. And I bit into the steak. And again, it was the saltiest steak I've ever ate. It just tasted like a salt lick. It was so unappetizing. So I didn't eat it, and the cast member came around again with the manager, and they're like, "Oh, what's wrong?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, it's just too salty. I'm not going to eat it. You don't need to do anything else. Like, I'm not asking for anything. I'm just saying it's really salty." And they're like, "Okay, we'll take it away. Don't worry about it. Let me get you something else." And I think I ordered a fruit platter, like something totally different. But then they also brought something else because they wanted me to be happy. And I really appreciated that, although it did feel really wasteful, but they could see that I wasn't enjoying it. One time I was at Brown Derby and I went specifically for a dish that I had the year before, but it wasn't on the menu anymore. And the cast member said, "Well, this is kind of similar." So I ordered that and I start eating it and I was like, "Oh God, this is gross." And I'm going to have to eat the whole thing. The cast member saw me. I saw my face from across the restaurant and she came over and she's like, "Okay, what can I get you instead?" Like we didn't even talk about that. She just was able to like get me a whole other meal. Now, like, look, those experiences are really rare, and I am not really interested in sending food back. That's not how I go into a restaurant. But it really, the reason why I'm telling you these stories is because it really identifies the level of care that the cast members have for you, and that if you, again, are grateful and positive and thankful and all of that stuff, they can work with you as a team member to ensure that you have the most delicious, magical trip ever. And again, even though it's just you, it doesn't matter. You're there to enjoy yourself. I went to Cinderella's Royal Table for my birthday one year, and I can't even remember what I ordered, but it was the vegetarian dessert option. And they knew it was my birthday. I had a birthday button, and she brought a little candle, and it was very sweet. And she comes over, and I had only taken one bite, and she's like, "How's the dessert?" And I said, "Oh, I think this is the most disgusting thing I've ever put in my mouth." And she just starts laughing. She's like, "Yeah, not a lot of people like it. Like, what can I bring you next?" And I said, "No, I don't really want anything. I'm actually pretty full." But it was no issue. It was no issue at all, Solos, to just ask for what you wanted. If I said, "I'm really not enjoying this, can I have another dessert?" I mean, like, look. Okay, there's this story that my former partner and I, we like make fun of a lot, because they opened a new like juice, like a juice bar in a little plaza that was close to our old condo. And there was this man that would hang out in the plaza a lot. And he was walking around with an empty cup of juice. Like he just went to the juice bar, he finished the juice, and he went over to, like, we were in line, I think, waiting to get some juice at the juice bar, and we overheard this guy like say, "This juice wasn't very good." And the owner was like, "The finished juice? Like the juice that you finished?" And the guy was like, "Do you ever clean your machines? It wasn't very good." And so the owner was like, what do I do now? Because I just opened. I want to serve these customers, but he just, oh, like Judge Judy says, he ate the steak. Like he just finished his juice. So like, don't eat the steak or finish your juice and then say, "Oh, this wasn't good, I'd like another one." But if there is a problem at your first bite, they can definitely accommodate that. At the Snow White restaurant at Wilderness Lodge, I mentioned this on the podcast, I never find the soup. Every time I've been there, I don't find the soup ever hot. It's a very weird temperature, and I have sent that back a few times because I'm like, come on guys, it's soup. And when they brought it back the last time I was there, I was like, okay, it's not going to get any better than this. like know when to cash in your chips, but just ask, like the lady that was in the Little Mermaid ride, your potatoes were cold? Like, just ask, they'll get you hot potatoes. It's totally fine, because these cast members are not relying on that profit to pay their mortgage. That restaurant is not relying on your order for their mortgage. Like, Disney is doing fine. Disney is doing fine. Do not worry about that if you need to send something back. Now, another thing about just asking are about off-menu items. Now, this is something that you have to not be strategic about, but every time this has worked for me, it is because I have just kind of used logic or strategy, not even strategy, logic, to figure out that it isn't actually an issue. So there are the lounges, right? These places that you can get drinks and food, often smaller plates, that are often attached to larger restaurants. I have said that lounges are a great option for solos because they are more casual. I did a whole episode on that last year, and I should probably do another episode on it this year as well, because I feel like they are such a great resource for solos that want some fancy food, but maybe feel a little intimidated by the formality, although there really isn't much formality in a sit-down restaurant. So the lounges are connected to these restaurants. Now, I was going to Nomad's Lounge. Was it my first time there? Maybe, I don't know. But I had looked at the menu online, and it's a lot of lounge bar food, right? It's a lot of fried stuff, and it's Animal Kingdom, and it was hot, and I just wanted a salad. So Nomad's Lounge is attached to Tiffin's, the Tiffin's restaurant, which means there shouldn't be any problem making anything from the Tiffin's menu for Nomad's Lounge. And I saw that the Tiffin's menu had a salad actually, that is made with the lettuce from the Livin' with the Land ride. So when I got to the restaurant, I said, "Hey, do you have a salad?" Rather than say, I saw that there was a salad on the Tiffin's menu, I just said, "Hey, is there a salad I can order?" And you know what the cast member said? They were like, "Yeah." And they just wrote it down. They did not blink. They did not question me. They did not ask for details. It was no problem. And actually what's interesting is that that salad is now on the Nomad's Lounge permanent menu. So I guess a lot of people were ordering the salad, but it was no problem at all. One time I went to the Enchanted Rose, which is a lounge at the Grand Floridian, and I sat down and I found it way too loud. Couldn't believe the acoustics in that place. So I left and I went to Citricoast Lounge, which is right next door to the Enchanted Rose. So Citricos is a restaurant also on the second floor of the Grand Floridian. It is a delicious restaurant, sit-down restaurant, and then there is a bar and a lounge attached. Now, sometimes it's hard to get a reservation for Citricos, but if you are solo, if you're there with other people too, you can just walk into the lounge, see if you can sit at the bar, any of the lounge seating. That's how I've eaten there. And it's been great. So I walked over to the Citricos Lounge and I said, okay, I'm just going to eat here rather than the Enchanted Rose Lounge. So I'm looking through the menu and there was something on the Enchanted Rose menu that I really wanted and it wasn't on this menu. So but here's the thing about the strategy and the logic. I had noticed that the Enchanted Rose food, when it came out from the same kitchen the same Citricos kitchen. It would leave that kitchen and then go down the hallway to the Enchanted Rose, which means that there would be, again, there should be no distinction with ingredients to make something from one restaurant to another restaurant. So I said, hey, there was this thing on the Enchanted Rose menu. Could I have that here? And the waiter was like, oh, and he kind of paused and he was thinking, and I said, it doesn't really matter if you can't do it. And he said, oh, no, we can definitely do it. That's not a problem. I'm just trying to think about how to put it into the computer. And so that was the hang up. It wasn't the fact that, oh, we don't have these ingredients. It was I just need to figure out how to do it logistically. And he never even told me how he did it logistically. The food just came out and it was delicious. And I had a delicious, delicious dinner. And so just ask. It was not an issue at all. Now, here's the thing. It's not like I would be at the Citricos restaurant, which is at Grand Floridian, and just ask for the salad at Nomad's Lounge at Animal Kingdom. That's ridiculous, right? That doesn't make any sense. But I am just kind of keeping my eyes open to see, oh, it's from the same kitchen? Then it shouldn't be a problem. Can I just do this? No problem. And it works. The other thing is I don't drink alcohol, but I really, really love non-alcoholic drinks. And now there's a few mocktails that are on the menus. But before that, I would often say to a cast member, I'd like a really fun non-alcoholic cocktail, but with no pineapple. Could you just make it for me? Just tell the bartender to put something together. And again, that's not a menu item. They would bring me these fun little drinks and it was really great. Now, here's the thing about Disney versus other restaurants. I went to Einstein's is it Einstein's? Yeah, at Disney Springs. Now, most of the restaurants at Disney Springs are owned by third-party companies, which means technically they are not cast members. And so all these things that I'm saying about the food does not apply to the Disney Springs restaurants because they are their own third-party restaurants. Sometimes, you need to be reminded of that. So I was at Einstein's and I asked for, hey, I'd like a non-alcoholic beverage, but none of these ones on the menu because they all have pineapple in it, or Gatorade, which is fine, but I don't know. I wasn't really into that at the time. Could you ask the bartender to create a non-alcoholic cocktail for me without pineapple? And the waiter was like, ooh, I don't know how to put that in the computer. I was like, you don't know how to put that in the computer? I'm like, oh, but all the non-alcoholic drinks are the same price. So just charge me one of those and then just tell the bartender to put a drink together. I was looking at the bartender. And the waiter's like, oh, no, I can't do that. I don't know how to put it in the computer, and so it wouldn't work. And I was like, well, then just put a different one in the computer and then go over to the bar and just say, hey, for the drink, could you do this and this? He's like, yeah, no, I can't do that. I was like, what? I could not believe it. Now, look, normally, I don't know if a lot of people would say that I'm chill. I understand a lot of things. I understand a lot of things, why you can't do things, why you can't do things. But this was impossible to, I could not believe he said no to me. It is such a simple request. Just put some Sprite and orange juice and I don't know, some grenadine in a cup. This is not difficult. And he said, no, I can't put it in the computer. But at Disney, and this, like at a Disney restaurant at the Grand Floridian, and this is why it's important, you just need to ask for what you want. And at Disney, it is much, much easier. It is because the waiter said, oh no, it's fine. It's really easy. I can do it, no problem. I just have to figure out how to put it in the computer. And that's a huge difference. It's a huge difference in approach to customer service. It's a huge difference in the goal for the waiter at the Disney Springs restaurant was just to take orders, put them in the computer, take the food out, and like keep the tables moving. But at the Disney restaurants, like sure, that's part of their goals, but they also know that they're there to make the guests happy, and that is such a cultural thing around Disney that they are encouraged to find solutions for you. So again, look, you might feel worried about doing that in other places, and I get that. But if you're at Disney, just ask, especially related to food. Honestly, they make so much money. Just ask. The other thing that you should feel really comfortable asking for in regards to food and restaurants is if you want a particular table. So oftentimes I will go into a restaurant and I'll be like, oh, I think that this table, like at this restaurant, I think it'd be good to be in this section, maybe a little less busy, or I want to be by a window or whatever. And so I'll just ask, hey, can I get a seat by the window? And they'll be like, well, I can put that preference in, but I can't guarantee anything. They say that every time. No problem. And 95% of the time I'll get the type of table that I want. And it's totally fine. Like the reason why I ask is because I know it's fairly easy for them to accommodate. And if it makes my meal like 10% better, then just ask. And when you're there by yourself, you're on this really cool vacation where you are treating yourself and taking care of yourself. And so I just encourage you to, especially when it comes to food, just ask. I was at maybe Pop Century or one of the All-Stars, and it was really, really hot out, and the salads that they had in the cooler, there was a Greek salad that looked really delicious, but it had these big giant onions, and sometimes onions can be huge migraine triggers for me, and in the summer in particular, in the heat, I just asked if they could make me a different salad. And actually, the manager said to me, is it a preference or is it an allergy? Like, can you just pick them out yourself? And I said, well, it's a bit of a migraine trigger, especially in the heat. And she's like, okay. And the chef comes out. Honestly, I think it was like the highlight of his whole day. He's like, okay, do you want me to replace replace the onions with anything? And I said, no, I just want a salad without onions. And he was like, okay, great. And I'm like, wow, I'm sorry, I wish I had other requests for you. He's like, try me. You want a different type of lettuce? You don't want this lettuce? You want that lettuce? You want me to do it like this rather than that? And it was just really cool because, again, it makes no difference from him. In fact, it is a great opportunity for him to use his skills and his training for both guest services, but also food preparation. And it was a really cool experience. All right. This episode's getting long, but let's talk about rides. So I was doing Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway a couple trips ago, and midway through the trip, midway through the trip, I guess so, midway through the ride, it kind of broke down, and then it rebooted itself, but the graphics didn't work in that particular room we were in, and, whatever, we moved along, but, I missed something because the graphics weren't working. So I used a lightning lane for that. So I came out and I was looking for a cast member. I couldn't find a cast member. I went up to a cast member at the front and I said, hey, I had a lightning lane. I swiped in for that, but the ride that I just did, the tech went out. And so I didn't really get to see a couple scenes. Could I just go back in the lightning lane? And she's like, oh, give me a second. So she goes in and talks to her supervisor, And she's like, oh, look, this happens, no problem. I'll take you around the back of the, not the back, like I'll take you through the back entrance and you can ride it again. Is that okay? She's like, you don't get to see the pre-show though. Is that okay? And I was like, yeah, that's totally fine. But then I also said, I have to go to the bathroom though. Can you wait 5 minutes? And she was like, oh, no problem. No problem at all. So I ran to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom. I came back. I was like, hi, I'm here. She's like, okay, great. And then she leads me through the back entrance to the front of the line. And I got to ride Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway again without any sort of technological disruptions. And it was great. And all I had to do was ask. And it was super, super easy. And everyone else in my ride vehicle were like, oh, that was disappointing. And they just like walked on. But I got to ride it properly. And that's the thing, solos. I got to ride it properly because my first trip, I didn't get to ride it properly because of an issue on their end. So I am not asking for anything more. I am asking for what I paid for. I paid to ride a ride that didn't have any technological disruptions, and the cast member was able to accommodate me without a problem. Now, when you're doing this solo, it is a lot easier for the cast members to make those accommodations. But if you were there with like a group of 15 people, maybe it'd be a little bit more difficult. But when you're just by yourself and you are friendly and you are straightforward and you're okay with whatever happens either way, again, if she said, oh no, I'm sorry, we can't do that, whatever, okay, fine. It is much easier for the cast member to accommodate you. When I started riding Guardians of the Galaxy, I can get motion sickness really easy. So again, I just asked a cast member, where is the best place to sit that I would get like the least amount of motion sickness? Surprisingly, it's in the front. So that was funny. So that was really great. I think there are a couple rides like Tron and I think Guardians as well, where you can try and sit in a ride vehicle before you wait in line to see if it can accommodate your body in a way that's comfortable for you. Just ask a cast member. If there isn't a lot of people in line, sometimes you can just ask and get your own ride vehicle. That's happened to me at Tiana's Bayou Adventure, at the Three Caballeros ride, at Pirates of the Caribbean one late night. If you want the front of a ride vehicle, just ask. Every time I've asked for the front of the ride vehicle, like on Pirates of the Caribbean, for example, I have gotten that, no problem. Now, this has never happened to me, and I can see why this is a little bit more awkward, but I still would encourage you to do it. I saw on a Facebook group that somebody said, hey, have you ever been going solo and they've sat you next to someone that's made you feel uncomfortable? Because that happened to me, and this guy was touching my leg the whole time. Which, oh my God, I was so appalled for that person's experience. But if they, like how they will put you in the line before you go into the ride vehicle, if you are now in a space and you see that you're going to sit with someone who you aren't comfortable sitting beside, you can just say to the cast member, like, hey, can I sit in a different row, or can I wait till the next vehicle? You don't need to make a big deal. You don't need to tell them all the details, but be comfortable. Just ask. There's sometimes with a ride like Pirates of the Caribbean or It's a Small World or whatever, where you see that you are going to be one person in a whole family's trip. You know what I mean? Everyone else in that ride vehicle is going to be a part of the same family, and then it's going to be you. Look, just ask, hey, can I just go in the next ride vehicle? And they'll accommodate that. Now, sometimes the cast members who are doing the rides, they're kind of busy. They're trying to keep all these things. They might look a little pissed off, but I've never been told no, ever. So just ask if you want a different type of experience. Cast members are there to ensure that you have a great time. And too, I, on my last trip, this is a kind of ride adjacent. On my last trip, I brought a film camera, actually, and I wanted to take a picture of the Haunted Mansion with my film camera, but, you can't zoom in. So I asked the cast member, hey, can I just go through the line, through the lightning lane? I won't I won't ride the ride, but I just want to take some pictures close. And they're like, okay, no problem. Again, if it's a whole group, a whole big family, whole bunch of people, no, we can't do it. If you were just one person by yourself and you're polite and you're clear and you're friendly and you aren't going to screw them over, then they often will accommodate you, because it is their job to accommodate you. They are part of the same team that you are to have an amazing, amazing time on the trip. So just ask. And what I really want to encourage you to do, solos, is on your next solo trip to Disney, I want you to practice asking for one thing that you wouldn't have asked for normally. Because again, and the same thing with like the Skyliner gondolas. Just ask if you want your own Skyliner gondola. Maybe they can accommodate you, maybe they can't, but just ask and they'll do what they can. But I really want you to practice asking for yourself, because I think what's really great about solo travel is you do get to know about yourself more. And if you are the type of person that doesn't feel comfortable advocating for yourself, just generally in your daily life, being at Disney is a really great way to start practicing that skill, to start strengthening that muscle of really advocating for yourself. You're not being demanding. You are asked, like you are getting for what you paid for, and you are letting them take care of you. Now, that might actually be kind of scary for those of you like eldest daughters, for example, but Disney is there to take care of you. Cast members are there to take care of you. They are not losing profits. They did not lose a cent of profit for those 3 steak dinners or 3 steak breakfasts that got sent back, which I am kind of embarrassed about. That's a lot, but the food was inedible. They did not lose 1 cent of profit. They did not lose 1 cent of profit. And the people that I was talking to, it did not matter to them. So that's the thing. The stakes are so low, but your enjoyment of your solo trip could be so much higher if you just ask for what you want. So that's what this episode is about. Just ask. You can let me know on Instagram or whatever if you have asked for something and have gotten it, or if you wish that you had asked for something and you didn't get a chance to really experience what it'd been like to get that, because I like to hear those stories. And it always really surprises me when someone's like, oh, well, I don't really like this about my room, or I don't really like this about dinner, or this happened and I didn't get to finish the ride. And I was like, well, did you just ask them and get it right? And like, it really surprises me that it's never occurred to some people. So I hope it now occurs to you. All right, everyone. So next week, I have a solo story. I'm really excited about it. It was really cool because it really opened up some different content creating opportunities for me related to Run Disney, actually. So yeah, definitely listen to that. And remember, if you're a Patreon member, you'll be able to watch our conversation, which is great. I wish I had kept all the videos for the past solo stories and I could put them all up, because it is really just awesome when you see 2 Disney fans talking about their love and enjoyment for Disney. It's just so exciting. So remember to do that. Also remember that if you are part of the Dole Whip tier, you get seasonal episodes just for you. And so on May the 1st, the spring episode is going to drop. So check that out. There is also a monthly meet and greet video, Q&A, all this stuff, because we don't have a giant membership right now. This month I'm going to have a video conversation with Lauren, who I actually met up with on the past trip. I did a solo story with her, and then when we were at Disney at the same time, we met up and did a couple things. So we're going to do a little video chat, and we'll put that up on Patreon for people who are part of the Dole Whip tier. And again, I hope there'll be a few more of us who's part of the Patreon. And then I can send out an invite and a whole bunch of us can have these conversations and do a Q&A and do a discussion. I'm really, really hoping that's where we're going to get in the summer. So please join. And until next time, solos. Bye. Hey Solos, it's Samantha. I hope you like this episode as well as all the episodes of Disney Solo Magic, the #1 podcast for solo travel to Disney World. You can support this podcast by rating, reviewing, subscribing, and sharing this podcast on Apple, Spotify, and on the YouTube platforms. However, you can also support this podcast and build the Disney Solo Magic community by joining us on Patreon. We have 3 different tiers at different price points, starting at $2 American, and I'm hoping that it'll be a really great place that you can meet other people, both get and share tips and tricks for solo travel to Disney World, and to create larger conversations about how to bring Disney Solo Magic into your everyday life. So please join us. The link to the Patreon is below.